Today we are featuring two shady stories where the fun time in the bedroom meets drama in the workplace. This first story comes from the user Balls on a Rolls, who accidentally exposed a customer's affair to his wife. Let's get into it. I work in a call center where we facilitate service that switches for people looking for better deals on household stuff. Usually their internet provider or supplier of gas, electricity, etc. We have agents in the field who make sales then call us for verification with the customer. Sounds simple, right? No, not going to sound simple today. See, usually it's company policy not to do callbacks. Nobody wants annoying call center calls unless the customer specifically requests a scheduled callback. We just don't do them. I had a customer 2 days ago looking for a pretty pricey internet switch, going from some basic setup to a full TV phone internet package that works all the channels anytime. Calls to numbers including international with the speed of 500 plus megabit per second Wi-Fi, and it came to over £100 a month. I informed the customer, who's an impatient sounding guy, that because of the price increase he'll need to have a quick credit check run on him, and it'll mean the call takes a little longer. The guy gets all pissed about being busy and saying he can't waste all afternoon on the phone to some call center. So would it be alright if I called him after the weekend to go through it? Then seemed straightforward enough. This is pretty common. People are always up for the sale until they realize they'll need to spend more than one whole minute on the phone. But I scheduled the call anyway and asked if there was a specific time he wanted me to call. He says anytime is fine and follows with, if Emily answers, just ask her for me. She'll make sure I get the phone, and gave me a home phone number. Fast forward to today and I make a grave error. See, the application I had from the customer had his home phone number already filled in, which turns out was not the same number he'd given me for today's callback. I called the number I thought was correct and a woman answered. I say without thinking, "Oh hi, I'm calling for Steve to confirm his broadband switch. We spoke the other day. You must be Emily." After an uncomfortable pause, she says, "This is Steve's wife Amanda." "What do you mean I must be Emily?" I apologize and said I'm sorry. When I spoke to him the other day he said if Emily answered to just ask for Steve. And she just goes, I knew it, and she slammed the phone down. After checking the application against the post-it note, I jotted some info down. On the other day I realized Steve must have given me the number for where he was going to be today, and I'd instead called his unsuspecting wife at home. Nobody's called into my workplace yet, but if they do I don't think they'll be happy. Update. 1. Well, angry Steve just called my workplace and has achieved nothing but making himself look like an even bigger dip than he already has. Also, for the record, Steve was always a dick who can die in a hole and deserves all he gets. The reason for the today I picked up was because I was worried about my job. I haven't worked here very long and I'm still learning things about company policy. And it turns out that when an application is put through by an agent, it must be the applicant's own details, according to what they provide the agent. So I was only technically allowed to call the wife anyway. Not Emily's home number as he gave me. If he'd wanted a call to a different number he would have had to have a new application submitted with revised details. It wasn't enough to just give me a different number over the phone, so my job is safe. However, my manager isn't happy and I'm getting a write-up, but I can live with that. They don't mean much and I've never had one till now. I am punctual and always on time and have taken overtime voluntarily, etc. Anyway, this guy phones up and before saying anything else lead the call with one of my colleagues, who by the way is a teenage girl in what I think is her first job, and he says put me on with a little thought it would be funny to call my wife earlier after I explicitly told him not to. Obviously the poor girl was confused and looked about to ask the room for manager at S&P. I immediately piped up and said, "Is it Mr. X from insert location?" and she confirmed. So I got her to transfer the call to my desk at S&P. Steve comes on the line and goes, "I bet you think you're well funny, you little prick. Put your manager on the phone and see if you're so smart when you lose your job." So in my most sarcastic, overcompensating courtesy phone voice ever, I just say, "Of course sir, let me just transfer you to someone who can help," then put him on hold for 20 minutes hoping it would wind him up even more. While I found my manager and told him about the whole situation. He explained what I'd said above, that I wasn't technically in the wrong from a legal standpoint. And then my poorer team leader had to quickly explain to Steve that he didn't have a legal claim, but that we're sorry for the distress call. Sucky. I know, but it's a business after all, and now hopefully Steve's evening culminates in his entire life being ruined. I got a disciplinary write-up for it, but it's over. Now the next story comes from the user Bleep Blooper. The older woman I've been sleeping with for months is my co-worker's mom. Let's get into it. It started a few months ago with the onset of coronavirus. I was on Tinder trying to find someone to hook up with during quarantine so as to stay safe and also kill some time. I saw this very attractive older woman and decided to swipe right because it's every 20-something-year-old's dream to hook up with a MILF. A few days go by and I get a notification that I have a new match. I open up the app and lo and behold, it's the fine-ass cougar I was hoping for. We start chatting and flirting. It's going really well. Out of nowhere she messages me and says, "I'm not sure how this app works. Do we just meet up to have sex or do we go on a date first?" I was drinking coffee at the time and probably shot it out both nostrils. My chance had come. I replied back that people generally just meet up to go to the bone zone together, but I'm easy either way. She replies, well, good, because I hate formalities. I nearly wet my pants in excitement. She sends me her address and tells me she's free on Friday and to bring wine. The rest of that whole week was a complete blur of anxiety. I could not stand this up. So Friday comes. I show up with the wine. She looks smoking hot, better in person. We talk about music and traveling and all that, not many personal details which would come back to haunt me, just sort of arts and culture talk. A few glasses of wine later and we were full-blown going out of like rabbits in the middle of our living room floor. I left a little while later feeling like I'm the king of the entire universe and went to sleep. The next day she texts me saying how she had a great time and it made her feel young again and blah blah blah. She says she's off every Friday and said for that next week, we should do the same. This has been going on for roughly 3 months. We meet up once or twice a week, look like animals, and then go on our merry way. Until one of us gets horny again. Sweet deal, right? I messaged her yesterday saying that I had today off of work and asked if she wanted to meet up. She said her son was taking her out to lunch and that I could come over after 3 p.m. She had mentioned she had a son before but didn't go any further and I didn't really care to ask. So 3 p.m. comes and I'm almost at her house when she messages me that she's running late. No problem. I park on the road and sort of just wait in my car because her car wasn't in the driveway yet. I'm sitting there listening to the radio when an oddly familiar SUV pulls into the drive. I sort of looked at it funny and then I immediately realized where I knew it was from my co-worker. A 23-year-old male jumps out of the front seat, goes around to her side of the vehicle, gives her a kiss on the cheek and a hug and then jumps back in the car. My jaw was on the ground. He reversed out of the driveway and stupid me is sitting like a deer in the headlights in plain sight. He turns around, is literally 10 feet in front of my car and staring directly at me. My face goes bright red and I feel like I'm gonna vomit. Me and this guy work together every single day and I consider him a friend of mine. I even trained him when he started at my company, and the kicker is, I've been telling him in detail about this older lady and he's been giving me immense kudos about it, saying that it's his dream. He pulls up beside me and looks very confused, asks me what I'm doing and how funny it was we ran into each other. I panic completely and stumble over my words and pretend like I'm on the wrong street and trying to find my cousin's house. He looks skeptical but sort of shrugged it off. The whole time his mother is standing there watching us through the curtains. He directs me where to go and I pull off and then circle back once he's gone. Needless to say, I went inside and told her what was up and we both sort of sat there in silence before I left. No boom boom today. I am now panicking. There's no way he's not going to know and he's going to realize all these wild escapades with this devil night mistress I've been telling him about is actually his mom. I already called in sick for work tomorrow because I cannot look him in the eye. Will update if anything happens. Pray for my soul. Update. She just texted me and said that we should tell him and come clean because it's the right thing to do. What the duck? How do I politely explain that I've told her son in detail about our escapades, including the time I dripped candle wax on her butthole? She's a freak. Update 2. She's adamant about telling him even after I informed her about the explicit details I've been sharing since we started doing this. What is wrong with this woman? I'm seriously debating about quitting my job. I know her son well and he's gonna want to kill me. She keeps insisting that he's a grown-up and he should realize that his mother is a person too who desires like any other person. That's not the point, bros. Update 3. She said regardless of what I say, she's telling him tomorrow because she can't live with the guilt and deceit. She won't answer my calls at all. And I am not going over to her house because she's out somewhere. Well, gentlemen, the cat is out of the bag. His mother pulled the trigger and came clean about it all. I don't even know what to say. He called me saying it was super weird and he's mine, but he's not mad because he knows we had no idea. He asked if it was her I'd been talking about the whole time and I said yes. Then he must have felt suicidal because he asked even all the crazy stuff. Rip bro. Needless to say, I laughed and changed the subject. You've been through enough today, my child. He also said he's gonna look for a new job and already gave us 2 weeks notice because it'll be weird working together. Damn, he genuinely just seems bummed as his mother is an idiot and I feel scummy as hell. He also said he put in a transfer so we won't be working in the same building until he's gone. Geez, I'm going to see his mom later and telling her we can't do this anymore. She caused him to lose a job and a friend and a reason to go to therapy over something we could have likely played off. I think that's the end of it though. Didn't expect this to blow up so big, but thanks for all the awards and comments. At least someone gained something positive from this roller coaster.